Hey guys, Electric DJ 45 here, and today we got a brand new weekly developer update. Today is Friday, April 26th. Today they have been talking about some new changes and what episode 2 will look like, as well as some updates to some current missions and I guess quality of life improvements. You can see right here in this week's developer update, we are going to show some of the gameplay changes we have planned for episode 2. I'm not going to read all this, but I'm going to try my best to summarize it. But they, have listened to, their own data and community statements, and they have been working on improvements that we believe will make for a better experience in terms of hunting for new gear, fighting Brainiac's forces, and overall quality of life. And this is what they're good. These are changes that they plan to make for episode 2 releases next month. So April, May. So May is going to be the new episode 2 release. So let's get started. Infamy tier rework. So I thought this was kind of interesting. So basically, let's talk Infamy Sets, Notorious items, and loot rollout. Our intent with the distributing the Infamy Set tiers and the Notorious items across our mastery levels was to have a more gentle onboarding to the increasing complexity of the Infamy Sets and build configurations. The intent was basically that as you progress through the mastery levels, the content would get harder, but you would get Infamy Sets to counter that, and so long as you play into your build, you wouldn't really struggle until you hit the higher mastery levels. Having the most build permutations happen at the later mastery levels meant that we didn't really get the build meta going until very late in our end game, which led many players wondering where all that juicy build construction was hiding. Um, I, I, I will say this. I do agree with this. I feel like, especially with the finite crisis, um, the Bane stuff. I felt like the better Bane items were tier 3, and you really had to grind it to get those. And I felt like if you didn't use tier 3 Bane items, you weren't getting through those tougher missions. I don't know if I could say the same about this season, episode 1, but I do have to agree with that. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the scarecrow items, like tier 3. I just can't really figure that out. Um, but anyways, with episode 2, we're turning that completely on its head. All Infamy Set tiers and Notorious items will be possible to acquire starting from Mastery Level 1. You can still rely on the episode rank rewards to predictably and reliably give you all the loot for the episode has to offer. All the loot the episode has to offer, but now you have a chance to get a tier 3 Infamy Set item drop from Mastery 1. So this is interesting. I don't I mean, it's kind of a good thing. I think of it as a bad thing because um, I feel like players, I feel like they think that players are impatient to get the best items, so they're just like, okay, well, we can give you the best stuff from like the first level of our, mastery 1, you know, mission, which is cool because then it's kind of like, you don't really have to really, I guess, grind that much because you have to get to like what is it, the 30s or like 20s or maybe the 40s that you have to get like the tier 3 items. Now you can get the tier 3 items at like level 1. Same with the tier 2 items and tier 1. I think this gives this a more like randomness to the like mission rewards, because then like you're not really predicting what you're gonna get. It's more just kind of like, it's, I think it's a little bit more fun that way. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes when it launches. In addition to this, we're changing our philosophy when it comes to the Infamy Set tiers. Our original intent was that tier 1 was the easiest to play, but also the lowest power potential, and Tier 3 was the hardest to play, but had the highest damage potential. Of course, the way our mastery levels are balanced, at higher mastery levels, that meant that Tier 3 was pretty much the only viable Infamy set. That's true, especially with Scarecrow items. Our new philosophy is essentially to flatten the power difference between the tiers and create space between the tiers and how much freedom they offer. In Episode 2, each Tier 1 Infamy set will be designed around a few specific playstyles. Interesting. You'll see that one or two core mechanics are buffed, and keeping up time on those buffs won't be a challenge. That means optimal Tier 1 play will encourage you to master those specific core mechanics, and if you can handle that, you'll be able to reach damage outputs that were previously only possible with a Tier 3 set. Interesting. On the other end of the spectrum, Tier 3 gear would be the most flexible in terms of core mechanics. Our goal is that you can leverage pretty much any playstyle using a Tier 3 set. However, it will be the most complex Infamy set when it comes to uptime. You'll have to use all your skills to keep the buffs going. But the payoff will be that you have more freedom in which core mechanics to use. Tier 2 sets somewhere in the middle. Okay. That's kind of interesting. I wonder if they're going to change the Scarecrow Bane items, or if that's just going to be a new thing that they're going to do for Episode 2. Curious. When Episode 2 launches, we'll be watching closely to see how this new approach to Infamy Sets is working, so stay tuned for more tweaks and future updates. Nice. Water break. Okay, so this part confused me. Introducing new grades of master items. I don't know. With the flattening of the Infamy Set tiers, we want to make sure there's still something to chase in the later mastery levels. It's true. That's why we're introducing an additional 4 master grades for a total of 5. Oh, okay. That Infamy and Notorious items can drop with. Each grade will be more powerful than the last, and you can expect the highest Master 5 to only drop from very high mastery levels. Very interesting. So then it's just kind of like there's just a lot of loot then, because then, like, if you do the math, if you really want this one gun, you're gonna have to get 5 different variants of that gun. I guess sucks now because there's one that's corrupted items. So then that's, yeah, I already have a hard time with my backpack stuff, 300 items. I'm always at 290 or 320 at the end of a mission. They got to give us more space, or at least give us a storage option. I think that's just kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't know, but how about a leading too? That if you have a gun that's Master 3, are you gonna elite that, or are you gonna save it for Master 5? I don't know. It's interesting. And how about the new items too? I don't know. Well, they better be good. Okay. Corrupted items. I think this is very cool. So one piece of feedback we've heard since launch is that players didn't have enough reasons to play the Mayhem missions after beating them for the first time. I have to agree. We think we have just the right reward for you to fight for. Introducing corrupted Notorious items. These twisted pieces of gear have been subjected to the Elseworlds of corruption, changing their unique augment to provide a warped and seriously powerful version of that weapon. Being able to build around these corrupted effects is a path to some of the highest power in the game. So corrupted Notorious items will be very rare drops from the Episode 2 Mayhem missions. But trust us, their power will be worth it. So an example that they gave is this Notorious items for Fireflies. Wait, hold on. Wait, is this the weapon's name, or is this the Episode 2 tile? To give an example, we'll have to give a peek at one of the upcoming Notorious items in episode 2, Firefly's Firestorm. No, it's in Notorious items. So they're going to have a Firefly Notorious items. The standard version of this red hot grenade sets all enemies' head on fire and increases the radius of your next grenade by 50% for each enemy you burn, up to a maximum of 200%. The corrupted version turns up the heat even more. It burns every enemy hit, but instead of increasing the blast radius, instead the damage of your next grenade is buffed by 200% for each enemy you burn, up to a maximum of 1000%. That is crazy. That is actually pretty good. You can, you could do this along with like the poison builds. You can get an enemy to deal insane burn damage and insane poison damage, and they're just like screwed. I like that. I'm gonna be looking out for that, for those items. And also this gives me a reason to play the mayhem missions, because they're right. I don't feel like there is a reason to play the mayhem missions unless you want to explore. But yeah, I'm gonna do it. Breakdown items for mission complete. Now this is a huge win, but so basically, you know how when you get your mission rewards, you can look at them and like that's great, and then move on, and then if your inventory is full, you have to go back and you have to go through each slot and delete each useless piece of gear you have. So basically, what this does is when you complete a mission and you go to your reward screen, and let's say you don't want any of your rewards, or you only want that one piece of equipment, but you just don't want to get rid of all of them. Now you can get rid of selected, you can trash your items when you get them on your reward screen, and you can keep the ones that you want instead of finding them in your backpack. So I am very much looking forward to that update. I love that. Mutators rework, so they're just gonna, they're just kind of changing some, mutators and stuff. They kind of did this with the patch update a couple weeks ago. With episode 2, we're fundamentally changing our approach to these mutators. Rather than introducing friction to encourage build diversity, we're changing these to instead be gameplay bonuses. Each mutator in episode 2 will give you a window of opportunity to take advantage of its effect. And the gameplay benefit is something we want you to be able to build around. We don't expect you to be able to build around all 6 mutators. Realistically, we want you to find the 2-3 you really like and that you can leverage with a build you like. So yeah. Nothing too crazy, honestly. They're talking about, high risk, high reward play style. Nothing too crazy. Incursion mission mechanics. Let's move on to our incursion missions. Our original intent with these mission types was to give you all a known foundation, activity mechanics, and that the enemy types, infusion types, your character's traversal mechanics, and your build, weapon types, gear, afflictions, etc. would provide the variety in terms of how you approached the counter. With the launch of episode 2, Lex 2 has done an analysis of the enemies in each of the incursion encounters and will provide an aptly, A-P-T-L-Y, I can't pronounce, I'm sorry guys, aptly named Lex 2 enemy analysis bonus to help the squad out. Each new incursion mission will each have its own analysis and identifies weaknesses on the enemies. And these weaknesses make different builds really shine. So I guess that's cool. And then they give like a little example. Mission Funny Pages. Lex 2 has discovered that burning enemies will take double damage from all sources. And then seaside amusements, seems that squads critical hits will deal 150% more damage if they build accordingly. That's cool. Yeah, not really. It's like minor things. Those like missions and stuff are, I think, kind of minor. Nothing really too crazy. Kind of boring in my in my opinion. But now this is the best part, or I think going back to the good stuff. Anyways, crafting recipes from previous episodes. Yes, you can now craft items from Finite Crisis in episode 1. Finally, I totally forgot about this thing, and now you can, you can craft stuff. You can craft the weapons that you like, re-roll them, so on and so forth. Crafting master items, big deal. That's coming in episode 2. That's huge. Lower Prometheum costs for missions. That's also huge. That's also great. I need to start, um, grinding up my Prometheum points. Start at like 80,000. Now I'm at like 30,000, or maybe 20,000. Additional invasion levels with episode 2. We'll be adding an additional 3 invasion difficulty levels for Metropolis, each with unique rewards and XP and resource bonuses to address the feedback from y'all that Metropolis content is too easy when you're fully kitted out with a proper build. Man, they have some pretty insane words that they're using today. Anyways, so that's today's weekly developer update. I'm sorry if I couldn't pronounce every single word that I came across, or if my reading is boring, but a lot of cool changes that's coming up in the next update in May. Episode 2 is coming to May, so that's a big one. All right, well, see you guys later, and have a great weekend. Like and subscribe.